Hey Mark, how you doing?
Hey Brian, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm fired up. It's another podcast night. I'm really excited about this one. This is probably one of my favorite topics in our whole book. I love talking about this one because I think it speaks to not only how people sort of perform, but it's really about how they connect with the business, with the roles, with the different projects or assignments that they have. And I just love how this sort of speaks to their mindset as well as their behaviors as well. So I'm excited to talk about the commitment ladder with you tonight.
Yeah, it's one of the keys to closing the action gap, and most leaders do not use it or know about it. So it really becomes their best friend in many ways, especially if they're rolling out a new process. This is amazing in terms of its impact on that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, when I'm teaching the workshops and we get to this piece, and I sort of walk through the ladder and explain all the different levels and everything, uh, you should see just the laughter that happens. People start automatically picturing their team at all these different levels, who's at this level or this level. And it just sort of makes everyone chuckle a bit. And I love talking about this because it really is real. People experience this stuff every day.
Yeah, and it's great for a leader to literally chart out, like you're talking about, where their team's at in
Yep.
relation to commitment on a specific process or rollout or the overall purpose of the organization is very telling. And when you as a leader connect with it, you can really lead differently and lead much better. And it's very individualized, as you know,
Oh yeah.
and it it works. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting when leaders start applying this, they start to see their team in a totally different way. In fact, we had one client that we worked with a couple years ago where we had monthly calls, and they included a bunch of our tools, including the commitment ladder, in sort of a spreadsheet so that they could look at their whole team, and they looked at knowing, doing, being, and T times M equals P, and some of these other ones that we've sort of already talked about on the podcast here. But commitment ladder is one of those biggies that they can look at and say, now I can really start to see my team in a different way.
Yeah, well, when a leader's rolling out something, or the organization is rolling out something, and maybe it's not working as well as expected, it's literally right there in the commitment ladder, and you can find it and figure it out and adjust accordingly, and again individually adjust, and it suddenly it works.
Right.
So it's often right there, and it's something that's not taken into account. Most leaders sort of presume that the team's on board. Oh yeah, yeah, we had the meeting, everybody's on board. That's
Yes.
not how it works. Everybody's in a different place, and the commitment ladder puts them in that place. And based on where they're at on the commitment ladder, that tells the leader what to do, how to
Mhm.
go after it. You know
Yep.
what needs to be affected. So it's a big deal.
Right. Right. Yeah. And one other thing too, and as Mark goes through, he's going to explain this here in a second. But as he goes through, I'd like everyone to also think about your level on the commitment ladder. So, as the leader, where are you? How do you fall in these different pieces? And that's an incredibly important piece of this.
Well, that's huge. I mean, if the team thinks that you are not fully committed or genuinely compliant, as you'll hear about in a minute, they won't be either. And you're the issue, you're the gap, which
Yeah.
which is often the case.
Right.
So they do listen for and engage with your level of commitment. So, and the commitment ladder again makes it easy. So as you're plotting your team on the commitment ladder for a given process, purpose, rollout, whatever, plot yourself as well along with them, and it will help you see any breakdowns that are about to occur.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked a lot about the mirror. Looking into the mirror and starting with yourself. One of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago is that that mirror is really your team. So if you see your team as a whole and where they're not committed, that's a reflection of you as a leader. So
Yeah, the other thing that leaders mistakenly believe is often that people are either in or they're out. It's one or the other. Well, we've found 5 levels on the commitment ladder, so it's not as simple as they're on board or they're not on board. It's more complex than that, but by using the commitment ladder, it becomes quite simple.
yeah, yeah. So do you want to walk us through the ladder here?
Yeah, let's walk through the ladder first so that everyone can see it, and hopefully we'll put an image up on the screen as well. So the picture it as a 5-step ladder, and I'm going to work from the bottom up. And the lowest level on the ladder is non-compliant. So that would be the team members that are not executing the new process. And again, you apply this to a specific process rollout or the overall purpose of the organization, but non-compliant means they do not behave in a way that aligns. And again, that could be your issue as a leader, so you need to look at that. But non-compliance is unacceptable, and they cannot be on the team if they continue to be non-compliant. Non-compliant is obvious to the others on the team. It is clearly reflected in their behavior and their results. So don't kid yourself. You can determine who's non-compliant, and you need to quickly course correct because non-compliance doesn't work. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, they can't be on the team. They have to either move up or out. That's a pretty easy one, I think, a lot of times to identify. Uh, I think often leaders get some of the other levels confused with this one, but this is the one who's just, they're not doing it and they don't want to do
Yeah,
it. They're not believing it. They're not going to do it.
maybe they weren't fully trained, so own that. But once you've redone that and had the conversation, compliance is not optional. So that's the lowest level is non-compliant. And again, as you said, they can't be on the team. The next level up is rather deceptive. It's grudgingly compliant. So they will often say to your face, "Hey, I'm all in, boss. I'm on board. This is great." And then behind your back or their actual behavior is non-compliant in essence. This can be very damaging to the team because again, the team likely sees the grudging compliance and you're saying how they're on board and they are not on board. So this cannot continue. So you as a leader need to find it and take care of it because it's more damaging often than non-compliance because they're taking others with them. They're saying, "Hey, I don't believe in this new process. It's a bunch of crap. I'm not going to do it." But to your face again, "Hey, I'm all in, boss," and that will not work. What's your experience been with grudging compliance?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's two key things to point out here. Is really in how you identify these people. How do you, because to your face, they're saying, "Hey, I'm all in," but then they're not. So, when I ask groups of people when we're doing workshops, how do you think you identify these people? Almost across the board, they're all raising their hands and they're saying, the rest of the team is telling you about it. They'll
Yeah,
come running to you and they'll say, "Hey, John's over at the water cooler, bad mouthing you or talking bad about the project or whatever." The other way though, because if you're not hearing that, is to really look at the results. Because
yeah,
somebody at that grudgingly compliant level never performs at same level that people higher up on the ladder do.
yeah. It's often very reflective in the results, but again, the team knows.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, and it damages you as a leader. So non-compliant and grudgingly compliant are not acceptable. So those levels cannot exist and have a successful rollout of the new process. So you need to deal with that. So deal with it. The next level, sort of the middle, is formal compliance. This one's not good, but it's common in new people And it means that they require ongoing instruction and direction in order to execute. They need to be told what to do. They don't know on their own. And again, for new people, it's common. It needs to go away rather quickly. But formal compliance we view as a temporary level. It's not something that can continue. Temporary, literally temporary. And then they move on up the ladder. So be aware of it. Understand that you as a leader own it for the new people, and you get them on board, get them executing, get them fully through Gapology. They have knowledge, they understand the importance, and they understand the actions they need to take, and then they move out of this level. So it's temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. They're sort of that good soldier is a good way to kind of look at that. The person that you ask to work 9 to 5 and they work exactly 9 to 5. They don't put in the extra effort at all. They sort of come to work, do their job, go home. I also have found these people are, those people that have been really with the company a long time. They have long tenure, and they sort of have fallen into this rhythm of just punching the time clock, and just sort of following that process. So yeah, so absolutely new people for sure. Um, I think there's a risk there is when you have those long tenured people that others look up to. Oftentimes we have those people, perform like mentorship behaviors. They might be some of the trainers and that kind of thing, just because they've been around a long time and they have a good process for things, but they're really not high enough on this commitment ladder to deliver winning results.
Yeah, so long tenured people often have difficulty with new processes,
Yes, yes.
a change in policy, a change in process.
Mhm.
So you have to likely take some additional steps with them and help them fully understand their critical role and their leadership uh, in showing, others how to do it and mentoring. And you likely have to do some additional steps there because they will not easily buy into something new when they've been used to doing something for a long time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We've always done it that way. You know,
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of that
yeah,
mentality. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And the world changes, as
Yes.
we've seen.
Yes.
Yeah, so non-compliance is the bottom, grudging compliance, one step up from that. Formal compliance is what we've just described. And again, that's something that is viewed as temporary. The next level up, the fourth step on the ladder is genuine compliance. So this is somebody they're all in. We have seen that when teams get the overall group to genuine compliance, the results are fantastic. So this really becomes the sweet spot. Genuine compliance. They fully have accomplished gapology. Again, knowledge gap closed, importance gap closed, action gap closed. They're in on it. They're not trying to invent something new. They are executing at a very high level. This group can be used to mentor others as they model the behaviors that you're looking for. So this is where you want to get to, genuine compliance.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great level. If you can fill your team with, a bunch of these, I mean, you're really sailing. These people, they believe in what you're saying. They're following it. They don't just work 9 to 5. They work 9 to 5 and then see opportunities to deliver additional extra effort and that type of thing. They can, be a good role model, like you said, an example to point to. Yeah, I'd love to have a bunch of these people on the team.
Yeah, they own it. They own it. And again, this is where you as a leader need to get to. And likely the genuine compliance level is a result of your excellent leadership. You have brought them to this level. However you did it, understand those steps because you've made this happen. This is a big deal. So genuine compliance is really where you want to get to, and you should be very proud of those that have achieved this. If you can identify how the genuine compliant group achieved that level, that would be good for you to know as a leader. because did you do something different with them than the rest of the group? If so, repeat those. But again, KI&A closed, Gapology achieved. This is where you want to be. Execution and results will be excellent. Assuming this new process is of great value.
Yeah, yeah. And I like what you said there, Mark. I want to sort of pause on that. Understand how you got there. I wrote that down right away. I think I think oftentimes what we do is, especially as leaders, is we sort of pause and we reflect on our shortcomings, where we failed, where we struggled. And I think it's somewhat human nature. What's not is pausing and understanding the wins. How did we win? How did we succeed? How do we help the team to get to genuine compliance? And I think that's equally as important to do because then you can repeat it once you understand that. So I think just pausing, build that into your leadership rhythm, dedicating time to reflect on your wins and your losses, and repeat and prevent the other ones.
Well, and you as a leader are going to have to do this again and again. There
Yeah.
will be new rollouts. There will be new processes. You may join another organization, and if you can bring teams to genuine compliance, you yourself will be extremely successful. And as we look back at our Gapology research, the A group really had the capability of bringing their entire team to genuine compliance over and over again. They knew how to do it. And that's why they were in the top 10% of results, is because they could do this. So learn from this, to Brian's point. This is a big deal. Document your steps. You've got to make sure you understand why everyone is at the level that they're at. It is a reflection on you. And when you can get them to genuine compliance, great things are ahead.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's great power in pausing and just thinking. We don't do that stuff enough.
Yeah.
So what's the
Yeah.
last step?
So the top of the ladder, somewhat deceptive, is committed. And a lot of leaders would say, yeah, I want everybody there. It can be a bit more challenging than the genuinely compliant level. Often the committed group is a smaller group, and they are often a bit rogue and trying to reinvent the wheel, and they can go beyond. It's difficult to manage a group of committed. So it's good to have a few people there. And again, if they continue to innovate and reinvent the wheel, and those things are something you're going to put in place, that's fine. But truly, genuine compliance is the sweet spot. Committed can be a bit challenging to you as a leader. It's good in the long run to have a few people at that level. And again, they may be a bit bored at the genuine compliant level, but there's always those next steps in a process that need to be developed. So you need to look at special assignments for them. Potentially mentoring would be something that they would be good at. You need to leverage their skill set. They may be above you in the execution level of this new process. But again, out of a group of 10, if you had a couple of people at this level, you're probably okay. But you want the group of genuine compliance, because that's where true execution, excellence happens.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, and what has your experience been with the committed level?
Yeah, yeah. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. While it sounds wonderful to have this whole team of people all coming up with new ideas and being, having fresh ideas and sharing all these, this type of stuff, I think it can be extremely challenging. And it really is a reflection of the strength of the leader, whether or not you can really manage this group. And there's great risk there. And this is one of the things I'll share as far as what I've experienced. If you have people at this committed level and you don't provide them with the right type of leadership that fits their style, where it doesn't connect with them, there's great risk in them sliding down the habit ladder. So they
Not the habit ladder.
all right, the commitment ladder. Sorry, there's too many ladders. Uh, but sliding down the commitment ladder, there's huge risk in that. I've seen it time and time again where these people they're all gung ho, and then but the leader's sort of weak, doesn't provide them with the right type of empowerment, mentorship. They don't honor their level of commitment. They don't honor their skill level, and they start to overburden them by giving them all these extra assignments just because they're really good at something and they're sort of committed. And then what happens is they just started getting disgruntled and they slide down and they sort of land at that grudging compliance level and they sort of live there for a little bit. Oftentimes they'll kind of bounce back up and settle at that formal compliance level. They'll kind of just live there for a long time. So if you look at your team and you see that you've got a bunch of people at that formal compliance level, start to ask yourself, what is the leadership that I've provided to them? Where were they in the past? Were they at a higher commitment level in the past? And look at yourself and say, is there something that I could have done differently? And is there something I could do differently now?
Yeah, we definitely have seen the committed level drop back,
Yeah.
often to the grudgingly compliant level.
Yep.
And that's sort of where we came up with a standing ovation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They, this group expects and thrives on recognition. So if they're at the committed level and you're not giving them the required amount of recognition, it again, you can be the issue. So the challenging thing for the commitment ladder is that you have 5 steps. Your team will range in all 5 of them. You're gonna have, if you're rolling out something, and you've got 10 direct reports, they're going to be all over this ladder, and your knowledge of where they're at dictates the behaviors that you need to have and what you need to do, the actions you need to take. So the commitment ladder literally becomes this friend of yours that helps you truly understand how to close the action gap. We have this in the action gap within Gapology because it's all about, creating a culture of action and you as a leader leading that forward.
Yeah.
But that committed group, to Brian's point, is somewhat vulnerable because they often do require and expect a lot of recognition. So you need to think about what that looks like and how to make that happen. And if you see them slip, again, it is often about you. And if you catch it quickly, you can move them right back up. Isn't that our experience?
Oh, yeah, totally, totally. And something occurred to me, I think you touched on it earlier, is your behavior with these different levels, the things that you do as a leader, is seen by the rest of the group. So make sure that you're addressing the people who are at that non-compliant or grudging compliant. Address those people right away, because the committed people are watching you. And if you're not addressing some of that stuff, that can also cause them to be somewhat grudging compliant and they could slide down that. So keep an eye on that. The other piece too, I will say, and this was actually somebody in one of our workshops shared this, and I was like, oh yeah, you're totally right. Is be aware of the level of celebration that you provide. So make sure that it's equal to the level of achievement. So if you throw a big party for a small achievement that the team made or that an individual made, and you over celebrate that, those highly committed people will be looking at that and saying, I have those wins all the time. Why don't I get balloons and a party and that kind of thing? And also with improvement levels of improvements, over celebrating some micro improvement. So just balance that. Really look at the level of celebration should be equal to the level of achievement.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. So we literally have seen leaders create a poster of the commitment ladder and for a given rollout process, put sticky dots with their team's names on it on the ladder and keep it privately in their office. It's not something to share with anyone. And move the dots, accordingly and evolve, over time to where you get everyone in that genuine compliant and or committed level. And wow, the results soar. So don't be scared to do that. You may want to do it digitally. Again, I would have a poster with sticky dots, with the names on it or initials of them on it. And but the biggest thing here is it's about your behavior as a leader. You can move them up the ladder or off of the ladder, and it's all about you. So great execution, great closure of the action gap occurs at the genuinely compliant level, which is the fourth level on the 5 steps. And everyone just sort of falls in their own place. Don't over assume that they're all on board. It's not likely. Look at the results. It'll be reflected there. And but we have found the commitment ladder to be incredibly successful throughout many organizations, many different industries. It simply works. It's about human behavior, and we're very proud to have included it in the Action Gap section of Gapology.
Yeah, yeah. And if anyone needs help with this, feel free to reach out. We've actually had a few people reaching out recently, just with some needing some help, just having a few questions, and we love that. We love being able to jump in and share our perspective on that. So contact@gapology.org. That's contact@gapology.org. That's our email address. Shoot us an email. We're also on all the socials, all the social media. LinkedIn's a great way to connect with us as well. Instagram, all those things. So make sure you reach out if you need any help.
Well, thanks, Brian.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. We'll talk.
Appreciate this Gapology Guys podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this. I like to be able to see you and talk back and forth. That's cool.
Yeah. All right. Talk soon.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.